Cool. We are now live. Thanks everyone for coming to another community committee meeting. Adam was not able to join because of Wi-Fi so far. He might be able to join at some point. So hopefully we can get that up and running with him. Otherwise, I am just gonna help out since nobody else raised their hand to kick things off. Cool, so we can start with asking if people can add themselves to the minute stock, and also if you can take minutes. You're more than welcome to, whether you're a committee member or not. We very much encourage that and appreciate that work. Thank you for adding me into the doc as well. Cool, BMG. Awesome. So with that, Michael has posted that link in the chat for people in the call. It's also available in the GitHub issue for those looking elsewhere. Let's get into agenda, status updates from initiatives. Anyone from the initiatives have updates?
I guess I can add one on the user feedback. Last meeting we discussed it. Dan is stepping down as the champion. We agreed to consider a couple things going forward. One is Joe's opened a proposal to move the survey part of the work that team was doing up to the OpenJS Foundation level, since it makes it's something that could be useful to the other projects as well. And there's a good fit with working with the foundation team members. So he's an open issue that's underway. In terms of the enterprise user feedback, we have Ahmad who's acting as the champion, so we're gonna that'll continue. And for the other activities, we're basically agreed we won't meet and basically put those on hiatus until when somebody has more time to pick it up and lead it, or we decide that we basically decide we're not going to be doing anything active going forward other than those two other parts. Dan did ask did point out we needed somebody to be the liaison between the and the enterprise user feedback group. So I volunteered to do that. But it'll be more of a supporting that activity versus leading more general user feedback stuff, at least for now.
There's also I think it'd be interesting to see if they're interested in continuing, if any of them who are actively doing work and participating in that are would fit or would be interested in fit the bill for coming up and helping in ComCom and representing it there, and also becoming a ComCom member and stuff like that. I think that's since that's the kind of path we baked in the most recent changes to that. It'd be nice to see if we can maybe encourage that.
Yep, that would make sense.
Cool. Any other initiative updates? Internationalization, mentorship, collection.
So I have one for the outreach initiative. We actually, in the last couple of meetings, we have had a couple of new contributors, Saqib and Saad, Bilal. So we have started to pin down the community page content in the outreach initiative in the GitHub repository for that. And we have kind of have made the outline and now moving towards, writing that content and contributing that to node.js.dev. So anyone, if you would like to contribute there, you're more than welcome in this issue.
Awesome, thank you. Other updates?
I was at the mentorship meeting. I don't know if anybody else is here that would like to give an update or not, but I'm happy to do that if nobody else can or wants to.
I don't think we have anyone else on the call. I could be wrong, but
okay.
Saulo, you just unmuted.
I'm a little busy taking notes, so if you could please update.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Update, rate the minutes or?
Okay, so I'll do it. Basically, our last meeting we were talking about the few matching ups we're gonna finish. We have a new one new per app starting 1st September, and we were discussing some issues that we're having, that the new mentors don't have the necessary knowledge on Git, so like pull requests and other stuff. So we're discussing what's the minimal tech information that the mentees should have. In the case we're discussing if the new subscription for the next cohort, instead of applying into a Google form, we use a pull request subscription on a Git repository. That's what we were discussing. I don't remember if we have another thing. If Eva, if you want to share anything, please.
Nope, that sounds good. We just talked about, we also just talked about the fact that we still don't have mentees for all of our mentors yet. So we're working on getting those filled out. I think a second round of emails was sent out for that. And so we're just waiting to hear back.
So there's not enough people to mentor or to be mentored?
There's plenty of people to be mentored.
Okay.
The irony is that the first round, I think there were 10 mentors. We have 7 mentees, but 3 of the mentees that were chosen never responded to the email. And so we're trying to remedy that and there's plenty of mentees. So just go through that next round.
Gotcha. Cool. I'm just taking notes real quick. Cool. Awesome. I have a quick update from, today I merged the social media delegates repo, which I need to now create now that I merged it as an initiative, and it links to a repo that doesn't exist. So the next steps there are, we got approval on that issue, and we can move into next steps of going ahead and creating the various next steps. So creating a repo with the README, updating the announcement blog post to reference that README and repo, and then ship the blog post. So should be able to proceed on that. I can dedicate some time this week to trying to get that out. Any other final updates before we move on?
Hey y'all, Joe Sepi here. I'm driving, so it looks like I have a good connection at the moment. I'll give you a quick CPC update. Not a lot to report at the moment. We're working through details of onboarding. We have a few projects that are in the process, and I think a couple that are nearing an application. And we're working through some of the details of clarifying some of the details of the process. I'm not sure what else is important to bring up at the moment. Tierney, Michael, anyone else?
Yeah, the other 2 things that I'd highlight simply is that, as discussed before, the Summit repo has actually been moved over to the OpenJS org from the Node.js org. And as I mentioned before, there is a proposal to move the support for surveys from the user feedback up to that level as well.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you, Michael.
Yep.
Cool. Anything else on that?
Nope, just the regular call. If you have anything you think we need to be taking back to the CPC or to the board, please let us know. We have the board under the admin repo where we're tracking things there. I don't think there's anything active. So if you think there should be, let me know. But just, never always feel free to reach out or add something to that board.
Cool. Okay, so with that, I believe we can move on to the minutes. Okay, sorry, I was just looking at one of the previous things. We can move on to the minutes, the agenda. So the next agenda, or the first agenda item rather, is the community committee chairperson self-nominations. I believe that's an older issue that did not get removed or closed when it probably should have been. I believe self-nomination is closed at this point. I was apparently the only person who submitted. So I believe by default that goes to me. I'm not sure. But I am not comfortable being the person to say that in any way. So that's maybe a discussion either for the next meeting, or if Adam joins us, or
just looking at the issue itself, I can see the last comment is that, he sent out a vote for a link.
Yeah.
And so basically it'll be like,
Oh, okay, I didn't see that.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Once that's complete, I think you'll be confirmed. But that's the final step, I think, in terms of making it official.
Cool. Perfect. Awesome. So I think we can move on to the next one. Also on that, there is an open issue, a Q&A with me if you have any questions or comments or concerns. Next issue is toward less conflicts and bias from assumptions, or less conflict from biases / assumptions in communication styles / conventions. Let's see, next steps from the August 8th meeting. So have we, Saulo, have we proceeded on those next steps?
Well, working towards the next step. So I came back from my travels, and I just fired up a channel on Slack. Basically, it's private at this point, and then we can have another channel just to put together the bullet points for the initiative. I haven't done, work towards that yet. Okay.
Have you invited other people into that channel, or is it just you putting your kind of thoughts together?
No, I've invited you and Michael. I'm just looking up for other people to invite as well. So I'm gonna add people as as we go through the meeting, basically.
So
that's a Slack chat. Sorry.
Yeah, in the node.js community Slack. So one piece of feedback I have on that, we previously have gone down the path of private channels in a couple cases, and those have been self-selected. ComCom specifically, as the community committee, opted not to have our discussions in private channels.
Sure.
So I'm not saying you can't. Just it's hard for us to actually have moderation and be able to have a space that is moderatable in private channels, and also auditable and referenceable. So that's the challenge there.
Makes sense. So what I think the best plan here would be to actually make it a public channel, and but also understanding that down the road there might be discussions with some members of the community that would require a private channel, and we'll revisit that at that point.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Private discussions can happen with direct individuals. And for what it's worth, this isn't the Slack here isn't technically an official Slack. Mentorship has selected it to use as their pathway. So just also keep that in mind, is this is not technically an official medium of the project. That's all.
Okay, so just on that, could we maybe explore if there is a more official medium to go for, or is it fine just to stay there?
I would suggest that when this proceeds, I would suggest in that initiative trying to make it, or you as that initiative, or the people participating in that initiative deciding on that. The problem is we've had this discussion, and it's burnt several people out of the project for 3 or 4 years at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think the answer, my answer would be like, Slack is as good as any like for the instant messaging, but it'd be important that things like GitHub is where we try and keep most of the transparent discussion. So when it makes sense to get something, if there's like a solid proposal or things that, maybe creating a repo or whatever. I don't know if Tierney, if that's kind of where you were going, but
yeah. And I know that's also kind of meta for this discussion, but that is how the project approaches things currently.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Cool. Any other points on that people have? Cool. We can move on to the next agenda item. Update charter to reflect new OpenJS Foundation. Adam and I were not able to get to a meeting on this. This is something that I may just take a stab at. I'm just mostly concerned about like not writing charter content correctly or governance like wording correctly at all. But it's something I can at least do the bare minimum of like changing names, basically copy paste the correct things. So I can try to take a stab at this probably today or tomorrow. Like at least bare minimum of changing Node.js Foundation to OpenJS Foundation, and try to get this shipped. Anyone have additional comments, thoughts, feedback on that?
the only thing I'd say to be aware of is there was a proposal for a charter template.
Interesting.
So it's worth looking at that before you dive into it.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I similarly, like once that's formally approved, I might have to think about whether I need to update the one on the TSC side or not. Doesn't necessarily mean that we do, but it's just that that's there for new projects.
Yeah, and the thing I definitely want to try to do is like minimal changes and then incremental changes from there.
Yeah, no, yes. Just thought you should be aware of it as you're thinking.
Yeah, thank you very much. Cool. Next agenda item. Sorry, does anyone else have additional thoughts, comments, feedback on that? Cool. Next agenda item we talked about a little bit, Node.js social media community collaboration. So this is just on the agenda now. As I said, I merged the PR that I created last meeting. It's been 2 weeks since it's been open. There was 3 approvals. Went ahead and merged it. Next steps are to create the repo as was outlined in the PR, and then from there, create a README that kind of outlines what the project is or what the initiative is. So I can give that update in the issue. I will do that after the meeting, though.
Just a quick question.
Yep.
I think as I understood, there was part of it was still looking to get some like social media advocates, or I forget the terminology. Is that still part of the plan? And do you have a rough idea when that might happen, if it is?
So that's definitely part of the plan, and we're basically just trying to make it take all the correct steps to make it an initiative before we actually go down that path. So that will happen once it's a finalized initiative and it's been announced.
Okay. I was just curious, and like, is that a multi-week kind of? It's like just a rough, is it? Do you think that'll be a month out, or is it a couple weeks out? Or
yeah, my guess, Rachel can probably speak to this maybe a little bit better than I can. My guess would probably be like a month out. Okay. I'd say probably it will be able to ship it next COMCON meeting, and then the meeting after that we'll be able to have. I don't know how long, Rachel, how long was the actual form suggested to be open for in the blog post?
I want to say we've kept it open for at least a week. Okay. But I mean, I think we can kind of decide if, I'm comfortable with a week. And if we're feeling like we're not getting enough traction, we can keep it open for a little bit longer. And then of course we'll have to go through the self-nominations and choose, who are the best candidates. So we want to kind of look at that tail end too, as far as like the selection process.
Yeah, I guess I was more interested when that might start versus end. So I think you answered the question perfectly.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Any other questions on that agenda item? Cool. Next one is Node.js collection next steps. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't see Waleed on the call, but I'm happy to just give a quick update. It looks like he requested some reviews, and so we're just waiting on that to happen before the README can be updated, and then we can go ahead and I think there's another section that we want to update as well, but we want to start with that first initial step. And really what I would like to do is do another call for content once we kind of have some of this stuff set up so that we can fill up the pipeline and start pumping out content.
Cool. Any other comments, feedback, questions on that? Cool. We can move along then. The final agenda item is user feedback, stepping down as community committee champion. This is Dan in the user feedback issue. Cool. Reading this, it looks like we need to, PR the ComCom repo. I can take care of that if you want, Michael.
Either way, like I think he just added it here on for awareness.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. That can be merged since it's like a personal decision rather than a group decision, probably.
Yep. So I'm just gonna say, yeah, we'll land. Michael, I'll land that one. I can land and PR the change too, so I have no problem. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. And with that, I think we're done. Does anyone else have additional topics they'd like to bring up around community committee projects, initiatives, things like that? Cool. In that case, we can probably end a bit early. Thanks everyone for your time. And we will give you 30 minutes of your day back. Enjoy.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
That was awesome.